Hello guys, welcome back to the Big Screen Show. My name is Victor.
I'm Jorge.
I'm Alex.
And we are back for our Secret Invasion Episode 6, the grand finale to this TV show review. Guys, what are your general thoughts on the big finale to this show? The one we've been waiting for.
Alright, yeah, we're here for the finale, finally. Personally, the episode itself disappointed me a little bit because, comparing it to like how the rest of the show was, the pacing, how it was cooking, the whole conflict of like the invasion, comparing it to how the final episode was, I think everything was a little bit too rushed, and it didn't really feel that there weren't much consequences at the end, at least to me. So in that regard, like the episode itself, like it dropped a little bit. At least comparing it to, like, as I said, the previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But the show in general, good. It's not the best show in the MCU. It's not the worst show either.
Mm-hmm. I think it's one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it in top 3, but it's definitely something that I think MCU fans also needed. It, that seriousness, that more kind of like down to earth conflict. Characters that we know already. Because like in these previous MCU shows, we've been introduced to characters that we haven't been introduced before.
Mm-hmm.
We have like Moon Knight. We have.
Hawkeye's Kate Bishop.
We have Kate Bishop. We have
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel. So we have like these different characters that we've never seen before, and it's been a while. I think like the last show we have that we knew somebody was probably Loki, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
WandaVision, Wanda.
No,
Yeah.
it's like last one would be
the last one.
Loki,
So it's been a while. So I really like that. They brought back the whole Fury story, coming, like, what happened to Fury, pretty much in the MCU. So I really like that. But the episode itself, it did disappoint me a little bit in the finale.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm agree with Jorge, honestly, where the finale, where I was in full anticipation of like what to expect with the confrontation with like, Fury and Gravic. The episode just kind of felt like just very underwhelming to me and just kind of like fell flat with like it's like potential of like what it could have been, and just felt like what happened like in mid episode kind of seemed like quick little thing, like a quick cop out type thing to kind of like expedite the ending to where we're getting into like with Fury and like the Marvels movie that's up and coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my general thoughts on it was that it was good, but it was sadly not the best episode in the series, obviously, and that's definitely disappointing. I agree, it was a bit disappointing because I would have hoped and went into it with expectations of it being the best episode yet, which I think is what should have been. I think if that would have been the case, then this show would be undoubtedly ranked, at least for me, in like the top 3.
Oh, yeah.
Yet I agree with both of you. It was a bit disappointing. It felt a little bit flat. It just felt out of character for what the show had been in the last 5 weeks leading up to it, which is sad, right? But still enjoyable. And overall, I think the show is still good. Definitely would recommend people to watch it. It's just, you just have that little bit of darn type of feeling, But with that being said, those are our general thoughts. Here's your spoiler warning. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty and specifics of this episode and the series as a whole, as this is the wrap-up to the entire series. We will be discussing our thoughts and analysis on the entire season as far as some specifics that occur in this finale episode. So if you haven't seen it yet, or if you do not feel like having it spoiled, please click off the video now. You have been warned. Now, moving forward. Guys, let's talk about, I think, one of the biggest events that occurred in the finale episode, which was the big fight between Gravic and Gaia after they had gone through the process of becoming the ultimate Super Skrull and using and consuming the harvest to basically acquire all the powers of every Avenger, including Carol Danvers, and others. What were you guys' thoughts on that scene and those, I guess, events related to that scene?
Yeah. Well, I think for that part of the finale, I think the build up was pretty good because us as spectators, we were thinking that the whole time that was Fury coming up to Gravic, talking to Gravic, explaining to him why he did the things he did, the way he did them, or why life turned the way it turned, like he explained that he realized, Fury explained. Fury, he explained that at some point he realized that he wasn't going to find another planet, so he kind of like had to, he said it was easier to fight for humans than to convince them or change their minds, pretty much, So that whole build up to the fight was pretty good, till it wasn't, unfortunately, in my opinion, which is a big reveal that we know that Nick Fury wasn't actually Fury, but it was Gaia, disguised as Fury, and it's kind of like a reverse on Gravic, coming back to episode 1, where he dressed as Maria, and, kind of tricked Fury. Now, he's been the one tricked, and I like that detail.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like out of like coherence, because in the last part of episode 5, we see Nick with the harvest, in the hand.
Yeah.
He was in the United States, he was in Washington, and then in episode 6, we open with this Nick Fury with the harvest back in Russia, in Skrolos, talking to Gravic. So it's like, how we went from here to there, pretty much like how did Nick Fury came up with this plan with Gaia. We don't see that, and I wanted to see that a little bit,
Really? So that's your gripe with that? That you didn't see that?
Yeah.
There's actually nothing wrong with the substance of. You're just more so, I guess, bothered with the fact that you weren't shown behind the curtains of that plot being made?
Kinda, yeah, because like I kind of assumed that the final fight was gonna be between Gaia and Gravic because I didn't physically see like Fury fighting Gravic.
Of course.
So I was okay. I guess that guy has to be the one, making a front to Gravic,
Yeah.
And I was okay, but I didn't really think that it was gonna turn that way, Also, like, Gravic turning on the machine while Nick Fury is still inside, it's like risking giving him the powers as well. So I was like, that's a little bit like odd,
Well, on that point, I have to personally say that I think he did that consciously because I think the machine actually only works for Skrulls.
But again,
and that was my mentality. And if anything, in that scene, we already know Fury is on the verge of dying due to the radiation.
Correct. Yeah.
And so I thought that it would actually, even just a human, especially so weak, being under under those conditions in that machine would actually be damaging. So I thought it was more so kind of like him, Gravic, not caring about what happens to him because nothing positive would have came out of it.
Right. That's
how I looked. That's all I'm saying.
That's what I thought that Gravic was thinking. But again, it's like, I mean, don't risk your.
You're saying there was a risk.
Yeah. Don't risk like your whole operation because of like you're confident that it's not gonna work on Fury, and like it's like I don't know, like knowing how meticulously caring Gravic was. In every
Throughout
step that I was taking,
Yeah.
like coming up to this and just be like, okay, let me turn the machine with all the powers from the harvest, and maybe Nick will get all the powers as well. Well, I don't care. Like it's like I don't know, a little bit like.
I was kind of think that maybe the machine was kind of made to like just be made to be specifically targeting like Skrull DNA and stuff like that.
Right.
So which I think probably assumed like since like Fury was like expected to like be dying from like the radiation, and like there was like Gravic had knew like certainty because like he had made the machine built specifically for Skrull DNA and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, I
probably
think more
thought it was
so-
like, a safe assumption.
Yeah, I think more so it was like us as viewers that thought might have been like up in the air, because I definitely had that thought while it was occurring as well. Like, oh, like like could he get the powers? Like, but I think as far as Gravic is concerned in that situation, I think he actually knew of what would and would not happen.
I mean,
in
no,
that
yeah,
situation.
he took a conscious decision. I just think that it was a stupid decision, and like based on like the way he was acting in the previous episodes, it's like out of character a little bit, at least to me.
Okay.
You know, even though it was a logic, confident decision. You know, if the machine,
eyes.
if the machine wasn't built for like any other bad scrolls, you know, like it shouldn't work on a human. You know, especially a human dying of radiation. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's like I don't know. That's like my thing.
Okay.
Regarding that scene. Yeah.
What you think? What thoughts on the fight itself?
Well, the fight itself, I mean, yeah, I mean, we saw like, I mean, it was crazy the fight. We saw like Gaia and Gravic, not with all the powers, but we see them like display a lot of powers, a lot of superpowers for sure. Again, it's like now we have a new OP character in the MCU, and it's literally the most OP, like overpowered character in the whole MCU now.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that means anymore for the MCU. It's like, what is that gonna mean? Like in a future conflict, like we're just gonna call like Gaia and she's gonna resolve it like this, you know? Because like
hold that thought, because we'll get into that a little later. Yeah. But I want to hear your thoughts on this scene.
For me, I'm actually with Jorge on this one, where the anticipation like build up before the whole fight scene between Gravic and Gaia, where I think about it now, you know, where it seems like it kind of makes sense that would be Gaia and stuff like that, where since, you know, like Nick, without any protection, would go into like a highly radiated zone and stuff like that. I just kind of feel like with the scene going up to the fight, it just kind of like undercuts like with the potential like more like heavy dialogue back and forth between like Fury and Gravic that has a great potential to be there, but like what Jorge said, it just felt like they were trying to like feel like less cohesive compared to what's been going on like in the past episodes, where the dialogue and stuff felt more personal and real, like with like Fury and his wife, and Gaia with their father, and even Fury with like Skrull Rhodey, that where it just kind of feel like the whole scene of that was good for a moment when I actually believed it was Fury, because I actually believed it was him until, you know, it was time for like Gaia's turn. But like when I saw that scene, it just felt like empty to me, where it's kind of like a missed opportunity here to get this like final word and like, you know, more equal morals between Fury and Gravic, since like, you know, they're both soldiers, they both work together. It was somewhat personal. Like Gravic felt betrayed, and Nick couldn't bring himself to really tell the truth, so it's like, you know, he chose to keep using the scrolls for protecting the Earth, because, you know, they were never gonna be able to find a true home for them.
Did that emptiness? Let me ask you this: Did you already have that emptiness while the scene was unfolding, or did you feel that emptiness after you saw it was actually Gaia?
It was after.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. So it held substance for a little while there. Then after this reveal, it kind of took it all away, and you felt emptiness after that.
Yeah,
you
felt
meaningless. Even the speech that Gravic gives to Fury, like to the one
he didn't actually give it to Fury.
Exactly. So and it was a crazy speech. You know, he was like putting all of his heart into.
Yeah, he finally opened up.
Yeah, he was like fully explaining his motivations. You know, which is like fire. You know, I was okay. This is a very understandable character. You know, with motivations on like why he does the things he do, you know. But then like when, you know, they reveal this guy, it's like, you know, Fury's never gonna hear what Gravic had to say, pretty much. So it's like it all goes to the air. It's like meaningless, you know, in a way.
I'll give you my thoughts. Here's what I think. I enjoyed the scene, and I understand where both of you are coming from, but I would actually like to give a different perspective on the exact point that you guys are talking about on that emptiness after the reveal. And I would actually say that Fury, I'm playing an advocate for Fury here. Fury could care less to receive that dialogue from Gravic.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what I would like to argue. That sure, I'm sure Fury was conscious that if he walked in there himself, there would be some dialogue had, and that it would hold a lot of weight between them two, right? But I think in the same breath, consciously, Fury was simply not interested, and only was interested in like basically saving the world, solving this or getting to the end of this mission in what he would consider to be success, and that was the only way to achieve that, at least in the way we saw it play out, was the way we saw it play out. Therefore, I think for us as viewers, I think that conversation does hold weight because I personally would like to look at it in a lens of that would have been the conversation they would have had Fury actually been there. I get it was actually Gaia talking, but I feel like those things that Gaia as Fury was saying would have actually been the things that Fury himself would have said. And obviously what Gravic said to Fury in those moments was actually obviously what Gravic was definitely feeling.
For sure.
For sure. So in that breath I say the conversation actually still stands true to its natural, general, genuine form that it had in the moment that it was occurring.
Oh yeah, the feeling of the conversation is real. You know?
And with that, I think us as a viewer, we take that as that's what it would have been. But as respect, me personally, as respect for Fury, because as far as this show is concerned, I ride for Fury till the wheels fall off. You know, he's the one. I think he consciously was like, I am uninterested of literally ever seeing him again, and I just want to put this behind me, and I want to basically right my wrongs and fix my mistakes, and this is what it takes. And looking at it through that lens, I feel less empty, I'll say. Because, again, I do definitely agree with both of you that there is a bit of, like, inconsistency between what we've been seeing in the last 5 episodes compared to this one. Yet, when I look at it through that lens, I think the best word I can use is I just tend to forgive a little bit more.
Okay.
When I look at it through that lens.
Fair enough.
That's my point.
I mean, I'll be like fine with that if it wouldn't be the finale. You know, that's my problem. You know, if it's like mid-season, you know, that we have an episode that it's a little bit out of like inconsistency and out of character itself, I'll be fine, but not for the finale, in my opinion. You know?
Because I think, more to my point, I think what is more valuable to Fury than that conversation is the success that he had in this mission, in the end.
Yeah,
as Fury, as his morals go,
sure,
you know
sure.
That's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
you
sure.
get what I
That's
mean
a
by
good
that?
point. That's fair.
I think
Yeah.
So that's all. That's the only point.
Especially that it was like all Fury back again. You know,
yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like
yeah, we've had old Fury back since that final scene in the 5th episode.
So,
and you definitely felt that in this entire episode, where it was like definitely old Fury, the darts where it put him to sleep, like you know, definitely back on his like top level stuff. So, and then of course the fight itself. My thoughts on that was I thought it was pretty cool. Honestly, I thought it was cool. I thought it was very different to see. Just something we've never seen before, like these two entities, beings, holding so much power, right? We're used to very powerful beings, Thanos, Carol Danvers, Scarlet Witch, etc., but never literally so powerful, right? And for them to, it was almost like, who can fight better, because it's actually equal,
literally,
you know? So we're used to having fights in the nerdy world, in the superhero world, in the comic book world in general, being at least lopsided in some ways, meaning Superman can fight Batman, but there's different levels to powers or whatever, or like a speedster can also fight another speedster, but they have like different ways of going about it. You know, there's always like just offsets in comic book fights, whereas this is quite literally like a 1-for-1 ratio, like who's gonna win, you know? It's like
it's very rare that we have like two characters with the same amount of power.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's that it was a very rare situation. I thought it was very cool because like whatever you can do, I can do as well. So it's like who can kind of outsmart the other. I thought, for example, the play Gaia had using Mantis to have him go to sleep. I thought that was like very witty.
That was a good, quick, smart move.
Yeah, I thought she was like thinking right on her feet, quick on her feet, and I thought that was like a great move that ultimately led to her
when Gravic
getting an
used,
advantage.
You know, the power of the guy, the telekinetic guy. You know, that he was children of Thanos. I don't know his name.
Oh,
right
I know.
Ebony Maw.
Okay,
yeah.
yes.
When Gravic used his power as well, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So I fully thought the fight was very unique, was very rare. I would have liked it honestly to be a little longer because if anything, I felt it was kind of quick for there being so much power on screen.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe a little more exposure to some of the other powers. I was waiting for some Thor things or something.
Same.
Personally, because
Thunder.
I love Thor's my
Yeah.
favorite, by the way. So I was waiting for some of that thunder. You know, like God of Thunder. Yeah. So that's my take on it. Any final thoughts on the scene?
Yeah, for me, I thought the whole fight scene thing, I didn't really find it that interesting, mostly, because, like, but I think mostly because, like, it shows, like, again, like, in a previous episodes, it shows, like, how skilled they are with, like, fighting in different tools and stuff, like literally in, like, the previous episode where Gaia and Fury's wife were, like, defending themselves, I was actually kind of hoping, like, first of all, I think it actually is more fitting, I will say, that Gaia be the one to actually kill Gravic and stuff like that. And I do agree with what you said, how, like, the fight probably could have gone a little bit more, because, like, Gravic's death felt a bit anticlimactic by the end of it.
Yeah.
But I would kind of think it probably
It's almost too easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
'Cause I think that's why it does seem very interesting to me, because, like, again, they are showing different power sets and stuff from what was taken and stuff, but I really don't think it's that visually interesting, especially with, like, the low color grade spectrum set to it, and, like, not that fully colorful with the
color
whole
grade was
serious
a little
vibe towards it.
Yeah.
But I think mostly because
Sure.
I think I would prefer, like, probably much more personal kind of fight, which that's more hand to hand, and with Fury maybe doing a little something to the harvest, like kind of messing with it, where it probably didn't work, and probably would have gotten like a more down and dirty style of fighting that was been shown in like the past episodes between in different scenes with like Gaia and Gravic in their own different scenes, stuff like that, which I think probably would have felt a bit more personal and like less anticlimactic. But I think also again why this probably didn't feel like cohesive or anything, as Jorge was talking about, was because like Kevin Feige was the one that really personally changed the whole thing, where it made this whole big CGI fight. And I think why it's not as interesting to me is because like literally like almost like every other TV show, every Marvel MCU show, or like even with like every Marvel movie, there's always like this big CGI fight, which I think, as we can all agree, the MCU things can be a bit stale in some aspects, including with its comedy, which again is why I find the show refreshing. But like, I feel like they probably could have done a little bit more by doing less CGI monster fight by the end of it, which I didn't. Which is again why I don't really think this fight was that great to me. And again, just felt anticlimactic, and yeah, it just didn't do it for me.
Okay.
Same, yeah.
Hey.
And I would have liked to see Gaia with her scroll form, like fighting.
That would have been cool.
Not just when she got shot, but throughout the show,
That would have been cool. But selfishly, I'm okay with it because Emilia
I mean,
Clarke
yeah.
is pleasant. It's just
Emilia Clarke is good.
it's just pleasing to the eyes. I just have to be honest. So
right.
yeah, I don't mind it at all. But moving forward, okay. Hey, that's fine. Moving forward, let's talk about Nick Fury, Rhodey, the president. That whole situation, the switcheroo, the big reveal, to the president that, his right hand man was actually really a Skrull this entire time. Basically, that whole plot, the basically what the big finale actually was. I think it was like two sides to it in a way. It was the big fight, which was the end of Gravic.
Yeah.
And this with the president, Nick Fury, and Rhodey, as far as resolving the world politics matters.
Yeah.
And Nick Fury's, I guess, plot line in this, right?
Correct, yeah.
So, thoughts? You go first.
Well, it was actually, I thought that'd be a pretty good tense standoff where Nick Fury's like kind of ally with Sophia, as you remember, you said, where she's basically helping Sonya, yeah, and she was helping Nick Fury out by taking out like the whole president's like security detail stuff, leaving it between like him, Skrull Rhodey, and the president, so like that, which is a good tense standoff where Fury was trying to convince the president to like call off the attack on like the Skrull home in Russia, and basically trying to convince the president that's Skrull Rhodey and he's a Skrull, stuff like that. And I think you mentioned this like before, Jorge, one time we were talking about it, where you guys think like yo, why can't Nick just shoot this guy and basically just prove that he's a Skrull with like he said even the wound because like Skrull blood is purple, which shows like he's not human.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I will say I was so satisfied when Fury shot Skrull Roy. I was like so satisfied with him all this like Skrull Roy showboating and thinking like I'm better than you, Nick. You can't get one up on me. You're nothing. I fired you. I fired you, man.
Easily the most satisfying part in the entire finale.
Yeah, I never knew how much I needed to see Rhodey die.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, for real. That's like all I'll say. But I think what a good outcome it comes from that scene alone is basically what happens by the end of it and what the president does after he finds out that Skrulls exist.
Yeah.
Yes, which we'll get into a little later. But until we get there, what are your thoughts on that scene?
Well,
or and just
yeah. Well, that scene to me, like before we know, the big reveal that Gaia is Fury. We're by that point in that scene, like we just think that it's Sonya doing the whole like, getting like into the president to convince him to call off the attack because she calls Rhodey and tells him that Fury is coming on the way for the president, but we're all the time we're saying like, Fury fighting or like not fighting, but like in Skrulls.
And I just think that basically she's trying to throw him off while she actually does the work.
Exactly, yeah. Right. So I was okay, cool. And then they show like the big reveal. Gaia is on this side, and then Fury is actually like looking for the president to convince him to call off the attack.
Which really quick, I just have to say that to me, I thought that was a major highlight, that play, because if you remember what we felt at the end of the episode 5, at the end of episode 5 was just an emptiness in ideas of how Nick Fury was actually going to overcome this, because he had just grabbed the harvest and was en route to actually go give it to Gravic. Yeah. So we were like, how is he going to get out of this mess? Like, there's no way he can give it to him, That was like our major thing. And finally getting that reveal and knowing he's actually here in that swamp.
Yeah, like that plan.
I was like I smiled when I saw that go down and realizing that was the case, because I was like, nice. Like, I thought that was a good plot.
Yeah, I was like very surprised. I said, okay, cool. They have a good plan, like Guy is fighting here because like she's actually one who can take on like Gravic, physically, and then we have like Fury like dealing more with like the more like human conflict, which is like stopping like, in this case, like Rhodey, and like calling off the attack.
Right.
But I think like this scene itself, like that whole sequence, like I think it dragged too much, unnecessarily, because again, like as Alex said, like we were all in this like standoff, like trying to like convince the president that Rhodey was a Skrull, and they were like going back and forth.
Kind of like a little unnecessarily too long.
Yeah, like no, he's not. Like, oh, I'm not a Skrull. Like, he's talking nonsense. And Fury was like, oh, he is a Skrull. So
could have shaved off a little bit of time there for a little bit longer fight potentially.
Exactly. So I was just thinking like man, just like shoot him in the arm, show that he's a Skrull.
Shoot him anywhere.
Because he's just gonna shapeshift. Don't kill him. Keep him alive, so you can question him, you can extract information, I'm pretty sure he has, like, information not only about Skrulls, but, like, other states, in the world, like, other countries, governments, whatever, like, dirty stuff,
Potentially.
So, yeah, I was okay, cool. They didn't do that, the scene dragged off too much, till the point where Rhodey took a gun, Fury shot him, like, right in the head.
Right.
And then the president realized that, it was actually a Skrull, and,
right.
In the next scene we see like the attack was stopped.
Right.
But I didn't think that it was intelligently built to make sense, that scene, because it's like you have like probably two of the most like intelligent minds in the war in the MCU, which is like the United States president and Fury, and Fury's like, just shoot him anywhere.
The press was a little bit of a dud.
Yeah. Like, don't try to convince him with words. Convince him with a fact.
Action.
With an action. Like, show him.
Show me. Don't tell me.
Roddy anywhere. Don't kill him. Let him like turn. The same way Talos turned in the highway. Like,
Same as any of them.
Exactly. Right. Pretty much. I was like, okay, cool.
Sure. I'm honestly surprised that in that scene, like Sonya did basically just try to shoot him, because I feel like since she enjoys like giving physical pain or like killing somebody with her posh politeness but brutality. Yeah. I feel like it kind of would have been a bit funny that she's the one that did the killing, something like that. It felt really even more satisfying because like she adds like a bit more comedic element to when she does like.
Well, but to be fair, like if the show didn't give me either one of these things, like either Fury killing Rhodey or Gravic, I was gonna be like extra mad. To be honest, so at least we got to see like Fury killing.
I wouldn't have been
fake Rhodey, you know.
I wouldn't have been against Gravic staying alive if it would have been done in the right way, where he's still contained, you know, and we like seize that I guess threat. But Rhodey, that was needed. That was from the first episode. That was needed. You know, we've been, especially, I feel like we bonded over that when we watched that first episode together. We were like, what is this? You know, I just hated political mumbo jumbo Rhodey so much, but
that was more in like the second episode.
The
first episode, we thought he's like
when he fired Nick. When he fired Nick, that was like when we I think collectively like that was the last straw. It was like no vibes for you. I don't vibe with you.
Yeah.
But my take on that scene and that whole like I said a little earlier, I thought that the plot as a whole, from the twist and all that, I actually thought it was really good, because like I said, I had no theories. I was like so lost. I was like, how is he gonna get out of this? It seemed like so many of the cards were stacked against Nick to get out of this, especially in the situation he was in after acquiring the harvest. But the way that he went about it, for creating this plan, I thought was actually really good. I get what you mean. I get what you're trying to say, or where you're coming from when you say you wished you kind of saw that plan being built.
Yeah, because like to me, like I have like two things in movies. I like to see training montages and build up plans. You know, I like to see how they make a plan. You know.
Yeah, but I think for me, I do as well, but for me, I didn't mind it as much because I liked that surprise element.
Right. I mean, the thing with this episode specifically, why they didn't show the build up, it's because they wanted to.
It's the big plot twist. Right. Again, yeah. Obviously. So, but I agree that the standoff there was a little bit too long. Because the whole time I'm on the edge of my seat, but not for the right reasons, not because of intensity and because of fear and because of anticipation, but more so like, can you please just shoot him? Like, that's the type of edge of my seat that I was on.
Frustration.
Sure, yeah, a little bit of frustration, yeah, absolutely. So, but we touched on it, I think off camera, but I think the president was just such a dud in that scene. Yeah. I just think like, you're the president of the United States. Like, do you have a pair of balls to like, do something? Yeah. So, but I don't blame him either. He just got out of a very, his life was just threatened. He's still in the hospital bed, for Christ's sake. So, whatever. At that point, I'm just kind of nitpicking. And yeah, other than the fact that it was a little bit too extended, that scene a little bit too long. Like I said earlier, I think maybe they could have shaved off some minutes there to maybe give the fight a little bit longer time to kind of feel a little bit more powerful and just more meaningful, the fight between Gravic and Gaia. Whatever. That's also just nitpicking. But generally, I thought it was good. It was great to see Nick Fury back in like his top form, or at least closer to that, obviously, compared to how we've seen him in the previous 5 episodes.
What I like the most about that scene is the fact that he works along with Sonya, which is a character that I'm looking for in the MCU, to be honest.
Yeah, she was awesome. I loved her. Like,
I would like to see more of her.
Which, by the way, I think you made a great point there, that it was actually very surprising to see her have so much restraint in that situation, because from what we've seen from her in the last 2 to 3 episodes, she would have just shot the dude cold-blooded from the moment she saw him when she came out of that little closet.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that's actually a great good look in there. That was a good point. I agree. But to wrap this all up, I think we should definitely touch on what happens now. The president obviously has basically, in short, called for an extermination of the Skrull species on Earth.
Yeah.
And so obviously we've already seen a little bit of the effects of that. And also we see Nick Fury with his wife going up back to space. We see Sonya and Gaia kind of make an alliance of sorts now that she has the powers that she has. So a lot of little details were left up in the air there at the end, and I just want to get your thoughts on where do we think this series will lead as far as different pathways due to these events that occurred at the end.
Yeah, well, I'll start from I'll say like the least significant to the most significant.
Okay.
I'll start with Rhodey.
Yes.
So at the end of the show, we see that they
poor guy. We finally found him.
Yeah.
God, poor guy.
And Ross,
Ross,
we
my man Ross.
We found so many people,
Facts.
Man, the UK Prime Minister,
politicians,
I don't know why, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, 1 million people, pretty much, wearing new scrolls, being used for the scrolls.
Right.
Much. So, talking about Rhodey, like, we're coming up, like, in the future for Armor Wars. So something has to happen with this new Rhodey that we just found, because we see that his leg don't work.
Yeah.
So that's cool. It's like, okay, that makes more sense, instead of him like walking normally as he used to do like before.
Right.
So that's something that I'm looking forward to see, like, how, like, what's gonna happen now, because like he doesn't know about Tony Stark. Like if Rhodey got taken by the end of Civil War, which is like my theory. He doesn't know anything that happened with Thanos. He doesn't know that Tony Stark is dead. He doesn't like know anything.
Wasn't he at the funeral? Oh, but you're saying
that
okay.
could have been the scroll. Yeah.
What a theory! But I don't buy it. But hey.
Yeah, personally, I can't think whether or not it might be confirmed that he's been gone since Civil War. But if that actually is still true, then that's honestly, I think that's kind of a bit of a disservice to Rhodey and everything, since he's literally been working with the Avengers and his characters who were like who were still like that wasn't dusted.
Right.
Him trying to help people and trying to get the world and stuff together, but. Then working to try with the whole implant stuff to help get him walking and stuff again, and then like kind of he wasn't able to say goodbye to like his best friend, stuff like that, and like that's really a disservice to his character. And and I think it was mentioned like I think one time where like when like past Thanos and Endgame like kind of like blew up Avengers
HQ.
Yeah, Avengers combat, stuff like that. Like we saw Rhodey bleeding, so I think that was like supposed to be like his red blood. So I think hopefully that's actually Rhodey has still been around, but I think somehow like after Endgame he then got taken, which would make more sense since like Gravic enacted his whole plan and stuff literally like after the whole blip and everything.
Right. Yeah, I think that theory is a little bit harsh, but if it ends up being that way, that would actually be completely insane. Yeah. But
I'm a little mad that they don't confirm it. They don't say like when these people got taken, especially like Rhodey and Ross, which are like the two most important characters that were like duplicated.
As far as MCU is concerned.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, cool. So in terms of Rhodey, I'm looking forward to Armor Wars. In terms of Nick, we're gonna see him in the Marvels. We saw at the end of the show that he goes to save her with his wife. He accompanies him at the end of the day.
Right.
And it's cool because like it's a different Fury again. It's a more motivated, more focused. It's like that sharp, dark Fury spy again. So I'm really looking forward to see how this show affects him in the future, for good or for bad.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Sure.
And the final question, which I don't really have an answer or a theory, is Gaia. We have a new power level now in the MCU.
Yeah.
Like Carol Danvers and Wanda are like way behind right now than Gaia.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what's gonna happen to her. I personally think that she's not gonna be used much because she's OP. It's like Captain Marvel in the Avengers Endgames. that in Endgame she was only used for that last scene to destroy the ship and kind of like have a one-on-one with Thanos, but that was at the end, you know, because like again, like if she is around, like
because that's like all that needed to be.
Exactly, you know, if she's around like Infinity War on Earth, like they probably would have stopped.
Endgame
like,
probably would have never even happened.
Exactly, so you know, it's like I understand. So I don't really know what's gonna happen with Gaia. I think like she's not gonna be used much, but hey, it's pretty interesting to have a character with that level, to be honest.
Sure.
Yeah.
What about President and the call?
Oh yeah, well,
the call to action.
yeah. So we see like also like the President is like exterminating every Skrull on Earth. Something that I'm a little bit like picky about is like, you know, Carol knowing that after they kill Thanos, it's like there's a planet right there where you can bring the Skrulls, you know. It's like there's literally like an empty planet there, but it's like okay, she's focused on different things. She's focused on bringing half the universe back to life, you know. So I'm not gonna like complain too much, but it's exactly what Gaia told his dad that was gonna happen. You know, he was delusional if he thought that humans were gonna be like, you know, accepting and open arms with Skrulls. We saw that it didn't. You know, it went Gaia thought it would. You know, which is like, we don't want no Skrulls in here, and now we see like they're killing them all. And honestly, I think it's kind of gonna happen like what happened with the Guardians, that you know, like the majority died on Asgard, but you know some left. And I think that's kind of gonna happen with the Skrulls. It's like a lot of them are gonna die on Earth, but some are gonna be able to leave and find out and found a new colony and start a new colony of Skrulls somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah. When it comes to what Jorge said on Rhodey and her Armor Wars, I'm actually kind of thinking the same thing, but I still think it'd still be a disservice and insult to Rhodey's character if he actually was taken during Civil War, because again, that still doesn't make any sense to me at all with all the stuff that we've seen him in and everything he's done going forward. But so again, hoping that doesn't stick at all, but I do hope that in Armor Wars going forward, it kind of does go a bit more in depth to like him being taken and him basically trying to process everything that happened with the changing world order and these Skrulls and stuff that's now, especially with him again being like part of like a member of the president's team and with the president going down hard on the Skrulls thing. I'm kind of wondering if maybe some semblance of that could play into the whole Skrull thing, or like him being forced to hunt down some Skrull, or at least suspicion of it. But I don't know. When it comes to the plot wise going forward, the MCU with like the war on hunting for the Skrull and stuff like that, I don't really see MCU focusing as much on that compared to like other stories they have going forward, like with the new Captain America film and then the Thunderbolts. I feel like maybe we'll probably get like maybe like a mention, but I don't know if they'll go like too much more into that, really, because like oftentimes the MCU does kind of like drop the ball on some things that's kind of been left to like just be picked up later, either by another director or someone making another TV show that has like some story preference. Because like I can't say all of it like really planned out. It just kind of, I think, more depends on like who's in charge of making the show or the movie and just what they want to do with it. Whereas still Kevin Feige is still like helping with that, but again, I'm not really quite sure as much, especially considering like Kevin Feige changed a bit of like the finale of Secret Invasion.
Yeah. Well, I personally think it would be a disservice to the ending if they don't touch on it at some point later, because we already saw a little bit of the repercussions of the president calling for that action. Even innocent people getting killed, right?
Yeah.
Due to suspicion. Obviously, there's just so much suspicion now, and I think
Chaos. You create chaos.
Exactly, it creates chaos. So there's no way you can't like address it at some point. I mean, I understand where you're coming from as well. The MCU does tend to do that sometimes, and I'm just saying I hope they don't with this, because right now, me as a viewer, as a consumer, I'm thinking, okay, that's the last of scene of the current timeline, and I know that right now on Earth there's chaos because of this. So next time we're on Earth for whatever it is, if I don't see chaos, if I don't see chaos, or if I do see chaos but it's just chaos and it's just they're just like walking past it, then it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it really didn't matter as much compared.
Yeah, or just no, because it's just an unanswered question that I feel should be answered
or addressed at least.
Addressed, yeah, or like maybe it did get settled, right? Like, and you just kind of maybe a conversation between whoever, and it's like, yeah, like, remember when we had to kill all those scrolls and now they're off our planet? Like, just, I know, but it's just an example.
Yeah, I know, but oftentimes, the way you're saying that, I can almost see the MCU kind of doing that. It's like what they did in, like, Thor, Love and Thunder, where with, like, the whole new Asgard, and they literally had, like, gave, like, a Thanos Infinity Stone ice cream shop, and I'm like, you do realize that you're basically making, like, an ice cream shop of a dude where it made your hundreds of your friends and family like just disappear for 5 years. Yeah. It's like it's kind of making a joke off a traumatic event and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why Thor: Love and Thunder is like one of the worst MCU films,
right,
in my opinion.
So that's my take on. That's what I hope to see in as far as the president's call to action is concerned. With Rhodey, I agree with both of you guys said. I don't have much to say other than that. I think we all. But I will say I don't see that happening with the whole he got taken during Civil War. If it ends up being that way, that will be insane. But I just don't see it happening. Gaia, that's the big it's kind of how I feel about the president's call to action, because it's like I'm always gonna have in the back of my mind that there is this one being that has this enormous amount of power somewhere in this universe. So it's like at some point I would like to know what, like, where, like, like
what happened,
what's she doing,
like what I would like to know is like what's her opinion on like the president killing the Skrulls. It's like, yeah, now that she has the power to literally destroy all the human race, it's like, is she really gonna let it happen?
Well,
like,
I don't know. I genuinely think something will come out of that Sonya and Gaia kind of team up conversation, whatever. I genuinely think something will. If something doesn't, I will be disappointed, just personally, because I would like to see Emilia Clarke more.
Well, I offer a solution. I think she should join the new Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that would be great.
That would actually be awesome.
That would actually work a lot more beneficial. But then her alongside with Adam Warlock, that's kind of like.
No, I mean, it was just something to say. But
I could actually see that she could be like, I don't know, the protector of nowhere while the Guardians are out doing the whole protecting stuff. I can kind of see that,
or they just send her out by herself to some missions.
Yeah, or even then, because think about it, they could just like any Skrulls that are still around in fear. Call up the Guardians, get them onto nowhere. That'd be a home for them, because that's like guaranteed safety.
That would be a great home for them.
That's like guaranteed safety. Since like in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, they saved like the rest of those like little kids that were being experimented on by the High Evolutionary, including some animals that Rocket saved.
Yeah. Sure. So, those are my thoughts on the future of what, or I guess, what could come out of the repercussions and the last tidbits that we got to see in the finale, in the ending minutes of this finale. And then obviously, I think with Nick Fury, I think it's pretty straightforward, right? Like, he's going back up to space, he's with his wife. I think we could or we could not see his wife there when we see the Marvels.
I hope to see her personally.
I would like to see her.
I
also hope to see her. If she's not there, then I just understand, because she made it very clear she's gonna come back at some point. Yeah. So that's completely fine. I agree. I would also like to see her. I don't think it would be a negative. Nice. Maybe even if they need to fight a certain threat, she turns into Skrull form. She could help. That would be cool. Like, just I don't know.
I would personally be fine with it if like she actually did show up, and then just have like Carol Danvers be like, Fury, you're married? Because like even in Captain Marvel, she always she kind of question of like, you have a wife? Do you have a mother? Does your wife call you Fury too? Kind of like a callback to like when they first met in the 90s. Right. I think that would just be like pretty funny and like a good.
That would be a good line.
Yeah.
Fury! Wow,
you're married, right? Yeah. She would be like representing us, the audience, when we found out.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. That'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it might not happen, but if it actually does happen,
That would be great.
I'd be like, hey, we predicted first. We can
Right.
brag about that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
Yeah, so yeah, I think the Fury thing is pretty straightforward. I like what you said, and we'll see in the Marvels how he is affected by the events that had just occurred in the show, if at all. But I think he will be in some shape, way, or form. But yeah, any final thoughts to close out? Okay, no. One more quick question, guys. What is your rating for the overall season Secret Invasion on Disney Plus, the MCU show?
Okay, I'll start. Unfortunately, show was going pretty good for me, but that last episode, that finale, just like fell down, and I'm gonna give it a 6.
Really?
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a little
Tough.
harsh, personally, but wow.
Tough, but the thing is, like, at the end of the day, it didn't meet my expectations in terms of like the secret invasion and the consequences to the war. You know, it's like, okay, we fix it up pretty quick at the end. You know, we kill Gravic. That's it. Let's move on.
But that's just, I'd just like to rebuttal quickly with, that's just the Gravic point. There's still a invasion going on the planet.
I mean, but he was the one directing the invasion. You know, so
Hey.
without him, you could.
Hey, you're entitled to your opinion. That's great.
Yeah.
That's, hey, alright. What about you?
Yeah, for me, like with the past 5 episodes, this series was actually looking to be like a quality 9 out of 10 because had some good it was a good serious tone. There was some witty, smart sarcasm banter between it from time to time. It was able to really get a more personal, in-depth look at Nick Fury post blip of that, which felt like a more personal journey for him to kind of reclaim his old self back. Well, again, also gaining more time and emotional moments and dialogue with supporting characters like Emilia Clarke, his wife, even Gravic, and you can understand his point of view, but kind of see him be more unstable and just showing how he's basically just gonna go mass murder, human violation. But again, like Jorge said, it's a bit quality dip and how on the finale itself kind of felt flat. So I'm not as harsh about it because again the rest of the series was good, but with this episode lacking, I'm giving this series as a whole an 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think for me, it's a solid 8 out of 10. I think it was on pace to be anywhere between a 9 lowest to a 10 obviously highest, depending on how the finale would have gone, if it would have kept on the same vibe that it had been going on for the first 5 episodes. That's definitely how it was looking like for me. If I could rate only just the first 5 episodes, I would definitely give it nothing less than a 9 for me personally. But obviously, there was definitely a dip in quality. There was a dip in the consistency of it all. And it is disappointing. So I'm going to drop down to an 8. I don't think I'm at a 7 because I just think an 8 really is the right rating for me and how I felt throughout the show and experiencing it as a whole. And I think overall though, it's a good show. I would recommend it to anybody who hasn't seen it. And I think it's good and refreshing that we got this, and regardless of how it ended, I am happy that we got what we got because it has been, I think us as real, true Marvel fans and not just casual consumers were really longing and desiring something from Marvel with a very serious and important tone. And we have gotten that, and I could not be more grateful for that, honestly. And I hope there's more of that in the future, because if they just go back to the, the copy and paste that vibe that we've been on for the last couple of years, then that will be disappointing.
Huge big step backwards if that happens.
Yeah, but I think we have some great things to look forward to, like Loki, which we will be covering here on the channel. 6 episodes coming at you weekly, reviewing each episode from that as well. And obviously the Marvels is the next MCU movie, which we will be having as well on the channel, which will be basically the continuation of this. So we're very excited for the future, I think, of Marvel, and yeah, this is the end of Secret Invasion. But I'm happy. I'm happy that it exists.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely think it's better than a lot of other MCU shows, such as Miss Marvel, She-Hulk.
Definitely She-Hulk.
You know, things like this. And it was just good to see Nick Fury back on the screen. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching and keeping up with us during the Secret Invasion era. It was our first TV show to cover on this channel. We've had a blast watching it and bringing you guys this content weekly. We did bring you guys the finale episode a little late. Some of us have been on vacation, but nonetheless we are here. We hope you guys still enjoy it. Please, if you like this content, consider subscribing. And if you like this video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, give us your thoughts on the finale. We would love to know, what did you guys think on the finale? Did it disappoint you like it disappointed us? What were your overall thoughts on the season? Did you love it? We would love to know. We really would like to get in a dialogue with you guys down in the comment section, so please let us know.
And please tell us what you think about what all this could mean going forward in MCU. Give us your own thoughts and theories, please.
Yes, we would love to theorize with you guys down in the comments. What do you guys think this means for the MCU moving forward? And our next TV show we will be bringing you guys is the Ahsoka video, Star Wars, starting at the end of this month, August 26th, I believe. And of course, like I just said, we're super excited. All three of us were like super excited for Loki. We cannot wait for that. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in a couple days with a Barbie episode, Barbie movie review. This has been the Big Screen Show, and we'll see you guys soon.
See you guys.